Hi, I'm Sarah.
I'm Drew.
And today we are back with Let's Table It with another top 5 list. And today we're talking about our top 5 whimsical games. So Drew, what does whimsical mean for you?
Just playful, fun, usually bright colors, kind of that fantasy adjacent, but it's just, again, I just always think of fun and creative.
Yeah, and I think, to me, there's somewhat like almost like a nature element to it, but just like a fantasy nature element. And so we tried to focus on games that really gave us that playful quality, that had some interesting creatures and bright colors. So here are our top 5 whimsical games. So our first whimsical game really, for me, epitomizes what whimsical means, and that is Wondrous Creatures. In Wondrous Creatures, you have your own kind of like a nature reserve for fantastical animals, and you have a captain and various workers that you are placing out on a board to collect resources. You'll then use those resources to play these cards from your hand that build up your tableau and get you even more interesting opportunities for combos and things like that. And to me, the art and the colors just really make Wondrous Creatures feel very whimsical. Yeah,
and like you said, the creatures too, just very different and fun and things like that. But you know, as far as gameplay, it's fun. There's a lot to it. You know, this isn't just, oh, I'm here for the art, I guess we'll play.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot more to it, and there's different ways to approach. So I just think it's a fun, really good game that has those elements that make this list.
It probably was my favorite game from 2024, if I'm being honest. I will say we have played it at 2 and we have played it at 4, and I much preferred the lower player count. So for me, I think something that we've talked about, games that are fun for us, we can do a lot of things. Yeah. We don't have these limited choices, these limited turns. We really enjoy building stuff up and being able to do what we want. And so I think I personally felt at that higher player count, it was harder to do the things that I wanted to do in the game.
But if you're a player that likes that interaction, then you might like 3-4 players, just because you will have a little bit of that, they took my spot, I need to adjust, and vice versa, and a little bit of those types of things too. So I think this is just one of those that has a little bit for everybody.
Yeah, definitely within the mechanisms, within the art, within the theming. I would always recommend Wondrous Creatures.
Our second game is Creature Caravan. So this is one of those from Ryan Lockett. Again, it's a little bit of these card collection and tableau and some things like that, but you're essentially moving across your caravan across this area, you know, trying to maximize your score depending on where you're going, what you're doing. You can choose to, you know, attack a bunch of creatures.
Yeah, ember zombies.
Yeah, zombies on the way. Or you can just go through and try to, you know, maximize your caravan score in other ways. So it's kind of nice to have a little bit of this and that to it as far as the scoring and things like that. And again, most people are really familiar with Ryan Lockett and his art, his style and some things like that. This fits into that. But I think the interesting thing is it doesn't have quite that same, you know, campaign type feel. Yeah. You know, like
it's
near
not
and
as
far.
Story driven by any stretch of the imagination.
It's definitely get it out, play the game. I mean, again, the art is a big part of what draws you in, but the gameplay is not slouching or wanting either.
No. So it's kind of interesting having these two back to back, having Wondrous Creatures and Creature Caravan, because there are a lot of similarities between these two games. You're building that tableau of cards and trying to maximize your scoring. But instead of having that worker placement where you're placing a worker out on the board, you're trying to move throughout this land. And there's some buying and selling that you can do. There's some combat that you can do with those zombies. And They are two different feeling games. I think you might look at these two on paper and think they're too similar, but for us, completely different.
Yeah, again, there are definitely some mechanisms a little bit there, but as far as how you go about things, it's really different. You've got dice rolls and stuff in this one that you don't have in the other, and ways to mitigate certain numbers you want or don't want, but depending on the tableau you're building, you can make it so that you can pretty much use all those dice depending, in various ways to still achieve, your end goal.
And I do think the art really makes this one feel whimsical. The different creatures, I can't imagine what it takes to come up with all of these different unique creatures and then create the art and kind of the backstory. And one thing that is kind of cool is you can get the creatures, but you can also get some like gear that you can attach to them. And so that's kind of fun to see which creature is going to get, this dagger, or if it's going to line up thematically, how it's going to feel.
Yep, 100%.
And like Drew said, compared to other Red Raven games, this Creature Caravan is lighter. For us, it's definitely one that's easier to pull out on a weeknight that we can actually play and have the mental capacity to do well after a long day of teaching.
Yeah. Once you get used to the gameplay and kind of how it operates, an hour tops, honestly, with 2 players, you can probably knock it out in 45 minutes. It's this nice, simple, get it to the table kind of game, which always works for us during the week.
Yep. So that's Creature Caravan. Speaking of my favorite games of 2024, we're coming in with Explorers of Navoria. I absolutely love the bright colors and the cute artwork in Explorers of Navoria. But again, kind of a theme here. These have all been games that we love the art, we love the style, but we actually really, really love the gameplay as well. So in Explorers of Navoria, you kind of have a 2-phase round. In the first phase, you are going to be drafting cards. So you will use tokens you pull from a bag or that are left over in the center to determine what kind of card you can take and add to your tableau. And then in the second half of the round, any of the tokens that are out that have been pulled and used that turn, you can then choose to use those for worker placement and get some more resources, some points, travel along your tracks a little bit further. So this game, I think, really has a lot to offer people that love those different mechanisms and how they work together.
Yeah, and the great thing about this is there's enough decision space going on. And again, one of those shorter play times, you definitely have a lot to think about and do and all that kind of thing, but it doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome or is too big, too heavy. Again, this is another one of those. You set it up and you think to yourself, this is a big, this is going to take a lot.
It does have a big table presence, for sure.
But after you get it set up, you start, again, 45 minutes, we can knock out a game, and it just feels exactly right. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't overstay, but it also doesn't feel like it ends way, way, way too quick. At first you don't think you're getting as much done, but again, as you're building, you're starting to get a lot more for bang for your buck as you place workers and things like that. Yeah,
those last couple scoring rounds, you really bank those points, whereas at the beginning you're like, oh man, I scored like 2 points this round.
Yeah.
Well, you're building up for that final end game.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we can talk about, tableau building, but it's engine building is a little bit more where I see this.
Sure. And then whimsical wise, I really love there are 3 or 4 different kind of races of beings in this. And so there's a little set collection. You're trying to collect a lot of the same kinds. And then there's also those different tracks are in different kind of lands, different biomes, whatever you want to say, ecosystems. And so I do think that there's like a world built up here that is really interesting, and it's one that I like coming back to.
Yeah.
We have played this with the expansion, which adds some extra cards and some extra worker placement spaces, which I thought added a lot to the game.
Yeah, it's great. But if you just want a fun, quick, casual game, you don't have to have it necessarily.
No. It was enjoyable without also.
Yeah.
And then I have also played the first solo. This has a little mini solo campaign, which is kind of fun to dig into if you're a solo gamer. So that's Explorers of Navoria. Okay,
our number 4 is Fairy Ring. This is a great, fun little, again, kind of set collection and tableau building. We've got a lot of that. You can tell it's kind of one of our big ones.
Yeah.
And card drafting and different things like that. But it's a lot of fun. It's super quick, super simple. Basically, you're taking certain cards. That number will tell you basically how far your fairy moves around. And then depending on what it passes or lands on, you're going to end up getting certain points corresponding to that. So that's kind of fun. It's easy enough that the kids can play with us. They enjoy it quite a bit, you know, and it's a simple, fun, beautiful game though.
We are kind of notorious for not liking a whole lot of interaction in our games. I think Creature Caravan, one of the biggest dings on it from a lot of people is that it's kind of multiplayer solitaire, which that's fine for us. Fairy Ring has a lot of interaction with those fairies moving around, but it's positive interaction.
Yes, exactly.
Because if somebody else's fairy lands on one of your mushrooms, you're going to score points as well. And so I think that's fun. That's a way to get it so it doesn't hurt anybody to have that interaction, but you're still taking that into account on your turns. Yeah,
exactly. And that's, like you said, that's really the kind of cool thing is as yours moves and lands certain places, you're getting it, they're getting it. It just, I don't know, it's very whimsical, very fun. The kids loved it when we played it, you know, at Dice Tower West, I think was the first place.
Time we played it,
So it's a really great game. And again, 30, 40 minutes, knock a game out. Really fun to score. You have to kind of adjust, you know, can't really plan. You can adjust as you're going along depending on cards, but it's a lot of fun.
It is. And again, the whimsical nature of it, you've got fairies and you've got these really beautiful illustrations of these different types of mushrooms. And each mushroom kind of has its own thing that it's going for. So each type of mushroom scores differently and then they're kind of thematically illustrated along with that.
And the acrylic standees are gorgeous.
Oh, beautiful.
I mean, I've really gotten to love an acrylic standee and these are definitely no exception to that.
And if I'm remembering correctly, eco-friendly packaging, which is something that has become more and more important to us as we've gotten into the hobby. So we really, really do enjoy Fairy Ring. And our last game on this list is probably the most, what do I want to say? It's like the most real worldy, but it still uses that art in a very whimsical way.
Yeah.
This is Canvas. And in Canvas, you are drafting these really cool illustrated acrylic cards that you're going to layer on each other. And you can layer up to 3 of them. And then you are going to try to get your palette at the bottom of that to match up to the goals. There are lots of different goals and they're going to change every time you play, which is another really great thing for Canvas with replayability. And then honestly, for us though, I think the most fun is just seeing those paintings at the end and seeing the names. The names can get really interesting as well. So
yeah, it has some of that, again, that whimsical, but it's really kind of an abstracted style and game and things like this. And I just can't, I've never seen a game operate quite like this. And the acrylic cards, the way they interplay together and the things you create and get to are just, it's so much fun. This is another one, short, relatively short. Kids love it. R2I Games does some really interesting things, and this is one of their first ones that really hit
big for sure. Yeah,
and it hit with us big.
Oh yeah. So that is Canvas. So those were our top 5 favorite whimsical games. You might be able to tell that this is a theme that hits a lot for me in particular, and I really enjoy that imaginative play and then just being able to see some beautiful art while I'm playing as well. If you have any other ideas for topics for lists, we would love to hear from you, and we would love to hear what your favorite whimsical games are.
I love seeing the comments and seeing what people are suggesting. There's some really great ones we've put on the list because of that. So
for sure. And we're always looking for new games, and we always want to talk about games with everybody. So please let us know what you'd like to see coming up. If you've enjoyed our top 5 lists or any of our reviews or playthroughs that we have on the channel, please make sure that you like and subscribe. It really helps get our name out there and helps more people to find our channel. We would really appreciate that. If you want to know more about like our day-to-day gaming adventures, either Drew and I or our whole family, you can find us on Instagram at Sara Always Loses. Until next time, we'll see you at the table.